All right, Paul, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take things down and start the service process. I think this crown might be perhaps oversized. You can see there are some worn spots here. Perhaps somebody tried to file it down to fit better. I do not see any numbers in the back of your dial. That does not foretell anything being incorrect or false. It's just some of them either have been cleaned off or didn't get stamped. I just finished a 6139 that doesn't have a stamp on the back, but that's definitely an original dial for sure. Somebody's put a scribe mark in your center wheel cock. Ooh. Got some wear here. Ooh, so much oil in this movement. Ooh wee. Not sure why somebody decided that was the right amount of oil to put in. Okay, that is the teardown. We're going to have to do some hand cleaning. I'm going to jewel your arbor port, check all your jewels, and go over a few things here. I'm going to look very closely at your crown and stem assembly. It's just odd to see one with some wear like that without being really bent. And maybe it is. I'll put it in my watchmaker's lathe and just check it to see if it's running true. But we'll have to go to close look. All right, Paul, we'll be back. Okay, Paul, we are out of the cleaner. Everything looks really good. We've gone through all the pre-lubrication of all of your die fix and die shock settings. Looked at all your pivots, looked at all the pieces, made sure everything is in good shape. While the components are cleaning, I'm usually doing other things, like, for example, checking out the situation with your crown. It was a little bit bent, and it still is. I made you a new spring to go on here. The spring that was on here wasn't quite right, so I fabricated you a new one, which should work a lot better. We'll see as we get this into the case how things really go. I still might hold out to replace your crown, but that's not necessarily a done deal. I went ahead and also did my loom on your hands, which I think came out really good, and we'll look at those at the end, so stay tuned. All right. Okay, looking good. Let's go ahead and check and see how it's running. Okay, well, that's kind of remarkable. I haven't touched it. Just demagnetized it and stuck it on the time grapher, and this is what we get. Looking really good to start. I'm not sure I need to do much of anything at this point. Maybe a little bit of adjustment on the bead error, but you know, I'm going to make fine adjustments once we get back into the case. It's breaking in nicely. This is, you know, a few moments into things. It's going to move around a little bit, and the amplitude's going to come up as the lubrication kind of gets settled in. But, you know, these things tend to settle down nicely once you get them going. Yeah, I have a feeling we're heading to good numbers here. Very cool. Look at that. Clean signal. You can see the lubrication on the pallet jewels tend to give you little ripples here and there. And sometimes they go slow, sometimes they go fast, depending on where it is in the blend. It's sort of moving it through the escapement. Well, I'm gonna not do much. I'm gonna leave this one alone and let it just take a look at it and make sure it's heading in the right direction consistently. And I don't think I'm gonna have to intervene at all, other than the adjustments in the case. But we'll come out of the 200s. I'm sure this will go pretty well. Looking great. Looking great. Okay. Gonna call this one settled. We'll come back and have a look once it's figured its way out. Okay. I'll be back. Okay, Paul. Well, this is exactly where I want to be. Things are looking great. Numbers are spectacular. I really am happy. So we're going to move over to the calendar and finish this one up. Okay, running strong, looking good. that is the movement built. We're gonna put your dial and hands back on, get you in the case, and we will be very close to being finished. Okay, we'll be back. All right, here at the end, last few parts. Okay, Paul. Well, there it is. Your really, really pretty, very pristine 6119 6050 Regatta Timer. It's a lovely watch. It is in really great shape, and it's running now as good as it looks. So overall, I'm very happy with the outcome. It's super steady, good numbers, really a strong runner. Everything came out great from the service. You know, there's nothing really to report. It did fantastic. All your parts are back in that came out. Nothing was needed to be swapped, no mainsprings or anything like that. We got everything working really nicely. These have a tendency to have a fairly soft turn on this inner bezel. Before, it was binding quite badly, and you know, I wasn't able to. Well, there was a reason. The spring. Somebody had, I think, changed your crown and perhaps the spring at some point simultaneously, but that meant that the spring itself was a little bit larger than the end of the crown, and it went around the crown and then it rubbed inside the tube in a weird way. So it was just odd. So I got a new spring and put it in for you. This is a little susceptible to movement, so you know, there's not much to keep it in place. It's basically just the crown, and I've lubricated it so it stays watertight. So that means that it's extra loose. The turning of your time has the right kind of friction, but this is very light. Your outer bezel turns perfectly, so that's exactly the way you want it. Okay. I also, as you may notice, those of you paying attention, and I've put new proper lume into your hands. Now these are your original hands. We didn't do any swaps. I took the lume out that was black, and I put in what I would call my Vintage Glow produced lume. And so I produced this lume to match the intensity of the lume on your dial and perhaps in your pip. And I think it does a really good job. So I'm going to try and bring down the lights. I don't know if that's going to happen. I have daylight coming in to my office at the moment. So no, that's probably not going to work at all. But you can see they have a very, very faint glow. I only add a small amount, and unfortunately I just can't really demonstrate it that well. Maybe I can get a picture. They have a very, very faint glow that I can charge up. You can see it compared to the dial. It's basically identical. So that really works well. And the nice thing about this lume preparation that I have is that it matches both in color and in texture. So for all intents and purposes, it is very much correct in the style of your dial. And I think it just came out great. It really, really lifts the watch to have that black lume taken away from the hands. It's amazing. I don't really like to relume things, mostly because originality is so important. But at the end of the day, you want the watch to look right, you want it to function right, you want it to be consistent, and I think this does that job. I hope you agree. I'm glad we didn't rip into the UFO to steal the hands, because we're going to end up making that watch great as well. So that one's on the docket, and we'll get done. So that's fantastic. I put everything through the cleaning machine. Your new old stock crystal is installed, so that's in the watch. Here's your bracelet. It came out really nice and clean, and links, of course, as well. And I'll put those back on for the trip home. So that's ready to go. Not much to report in terms of replacement. All you really had was some seals. They're basically rotten, old, hard rocks, and your bushing for your upper mainspring arbor port. That's right here, and those will come home to you along with the crystal out of the UFO. So once we get some time, I will get onto that, and we'll get this packaged up and send it back, and you'll have 2 great watches. All right, well, Paul, thanks so much, and I hope you're happy, and thanks for watching.